Biolit, enlighten, uncover, integrate, because life is never separate from knowledge.
The Great Fire of London, Janet Hardy Gould.
They arrive at the Palace of Whitehall. "We're here to see the king," says Pepys at the front door. "What's your name?" asks the guard. "Samuel Pepys." "Wait here, sir," says the guard. A crowd of men is standing outside the door. They are all talking excitedly. "We must wait for rain," says one old man. "No, we must bring more water from the river," says a young man. "But we need more firefighters to do that," cries a third man. "What do you two think?" the young man calls to Pepys and more. Pepys walks over to the crowd of men. "There is only one solution," he says. "We must blow up the buildings in front of the fire." Suddenly, everybody goes quiet. "Blow up the buildings in front of the fire," says the young man. He is surprised. "Yes, that's right," says Pepys. Just then the guard cries, "The king wants to see Samuel Pepys." Now Pepys is surprised. Pepys goes into the king's room. "Your Majesty, this is Samuel Pepys," says the guard. "Good morning, Mr. Pepys," says the king. "I hear you have news about the fire. Is this true?" "Yes, Your Majesty," says Pepys. "The fire is now out of control, Your Majesty," says Pepys. "We must do something very quickly." "But what?" asks the king. "The firefighters must blow up the houses in front of the fire," says Pepys. "Yes," cries the king. "That's the solution. We must blow up the houses. Then the fire can't spread." The king writes a letter. "Give this letter to Thomas Bloodworth, the Lord Mayor," he says. "Nobody can find him," says Pepys. "You must find him," says the king. "Take one of my coaches. Go quickly back to the fire and find the Lord Mayor," says the king. Pepys and more go outside at once and jump into the king's coach. Pepys is carrying the king's letter. They drive madly through the narrow streets. "Faster, faster," calls Pepys to the coach driver. The fire did not simply burn, it destabilized. Samuel Pepys stood at the edge of the chaos, watching as heat bent the air and ash fell like dark snow. The city was no longer a structure of order. It was a system collapsing under pressure. Houses cracked, timbers groaned, people scattered like molecules in agitation. Pepys narrowed his eyes. This was not random. It was the failure of balance. "Faster," he said quietly, though the carriage was already racing. Because what he saw was not just a fire, it was a system losing its ability to regulate itself, and in biology, there is a word for the delicate balance that keeps a system stable. The word is homeostasis. In biology, this term describes how living organisms maintain internal stability despite external changes, temperature, pressure, or stress. Just as a city must maintain order against forces that threaten to destroy it, but here, the balance was gone. The fire disrupted everything: air, structure, movement, until the city itself could no longer correct the disturbance. Pepys inhaled sharply. "If the system cannot restore balance," he said, stepping down from the carriage, "then we must force a new one." The men stared at him. "We remove what feeds the fire," he continued, his voice steady, almost clinical. "We destroy part of the city to save the whole." Silence followed, not confusion, but recognition. Because even without knowing the word, they understood the principle.